Welcome! I know it's been a while, hasn't it? And in this video, I'm going to be discussing some criticism towards Fallout 4. And not as much the criticism that it got, and that because this is in review, but how I think it's going to affect the future of Fallout. In actually a positive way. I saw Mr. Matty Plays do a video that I think in many ways made sense and in many ways didn't. He said, why are people just so passionate about hating the game rather than working on ways to fix it? And to that I say, true. However, if you look at what people are complaining about, pretty much do the opposite. And there's many people that are hating on it that say, well, you could have done XYZ, this blah blah. But still, he made a fairly interesting point. But how did criticism affect the future of Fallout, and how do I think it will? Well, the first main thing that I thought I would talk about is that Todd Howard has fully recognized many of the problems with its narrative, as well as with its role-playing and focus on action. He didn't intend to make it too action-focused, which I honestly thought. I thought that he wasn't aware of how action-focused his game was. And he's very much aware of it. You have a lot of articles to read if you really want to dig into this. Another thing is Twitter. I've been looking at the Twitter sphere, and there are so many people that were hyped as hell that criticized me for having skepticism towards Fallout 4 that said, I hate this game, or I didn't like this game, or this was a disappointment, or this has a lot of noticeable issues that, and many of them said that this had many issues that, were in Skyrim that they didn't recognize when they played Skyrim, and I found this very interesting. And the hashtag Obsidian Fallout trended like all hell. Like, that was said by literally everyone except for, like, one major Fallout person. That's crazy, isn't it? You know, they obviously want change. And I honestly think, no matter how small it was just the more, Fallout community and the role players and, all those kind of people. But it's its active audience that criticized it. And if we know anything, we know that Bethesda is very much aware of Mr. Matty Plays and many of the other people that are part of its fan base. And I think that they were watching that. Does that mean an Obsidian Fallout? Not necessarily. But if we looked at, Far Harbor, which goes on an exploit, what they have done afterwards, it makes me a little excited. Because Far Harbor has a level of complexity in its writing that is above Tactics, which is, not very high, but originally. But, like, Tactics has some, it was better writing in Fallout 3 that was like, haha, this game has better writing than yours. And honestly, it's not quite, not really as good as New Vegas, Fallout 1 or 2, but almost. And even though it's, in my opinion, not as good, in many ways, it is just different. And it really expands the lore in a way that makes sense. And the story is full of nuance, which Fallout 4 just couldn't create. And I think that's great. And then Nuka World, which is not a story-focused game, or open world, or it is open. It's an open world sandbox crazy fest. It worked. That was what a lot of people wanted, and I think that's what the fan base originally wanted before Fallout 4 released. And it was a fun-loving expansion. Will they mix these two games together, or two expansions together, to create a game that's wonderfully nuanced and incredibly enjoyable? I think so. Well, I think Fallout 4 was a terrible game in almost every way. I think it is one of the most boring games, and I've played a lot of boring games. it is just hard to play. I'm almost like it was horrible. I hated it. But I am aware that Bethesda knows what it did wrong, and what they have done so far to try to fix it has been satisfactory enough. And Chris Avellone, he's working with Arcane Studio, so maybe they can give him, the rights, or let him direct a game. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be neato? I think it would be neato. So that's me, Marty. Tell me what you think, and goodbye.